Tom with Napolitano Roofing, based in Glastonbury, Connecticut. I'm going to run you through the types of products we use and different types of, for siding and roofing, cool technology we get to use, and briefly on insurance claims since everyone thinks that's boring, and even though I love it. So let's see here. We'll start with different types of insurance claims that we do are for wind, fire, or ice dams are pretty common. We always see that during the winter, except this winter's been pretty slow for that. Here's some different types of shingles that we have. So you have right here, this is a GAF Timberline HD. This is like the standard shingle. This is the #1 shingle in America that's sold. It's just standard generic roof that basically everyone gets due to cost and basically best bang for your buck. Then you have this one, which is your American Harvest, which is basically the same thing, it's just more specialty colors. There's only like 6 options, I think, and they're just a higher color quality in them. They're pretty cool, actually, but very few and far between. Then there's Timberline Ultra HD, which they don't have a sample for yet, but it's basically the same as this. It's just 50% heavier than the normal shingle, and these only have a 10-year algae resistance. So when you see like roofs that have growth on them, it's only for 10 years. But the Ultra HD is 25 years now. So, but it's also double the cost for just the material. The install is the same price, but it's really the material cost is where the money is. So, I would like to try to sell more of those. That's what I'm going to aim to do, is do more of the Ultra HDs, because I think it's really worth your money, because it's only the material cost is double on the shingle, but you're using all the same accessories, and it's also better for for wind because they're heavier. These just the normal Timberline HD are 3 bundles, and the other ones are 4 bundles per square, which is a 10 by 10 area. So they're a little bit heavier, and the main thing is the algae, because you get that in Connecticut a lot, especially in the wooded area out here in Coventry. We get that a lot. Then you have the designer shingles, which are awesome. I'd love to do these, but these are very expensive for the install and the cost of the material, because it's a little more time consuming. So you have the Woodland. This I did on Mr. Dudley Hamlin's property. This is a beautiful roof. Did these last summer, I think. And then you have the Camelot, which is another designer. You need a house that looks like that. It would look pretty funny on a normal ranch. But if you have that type of house, you want that kind of roof, for sure. These are also 50 years, same thing, just as heavy as the Ultra HDs. So they're really good shingles. Obviously, you need a lot of money to be able to afford them, but it's definitely worth it if you have that type of house. But we also do siding as well. Normal standard 4-4 vinyl siding, which is right here. This is basically what everyone has probably, for the most part. And then instead of cedar, we now do James Hardy board, which is less maintenance. All you really have to do is power wash it. You don't have to worry about painting or anything. You could paint it if you want to, but it comes in different colors. There's basically no maintenance at all for it, but it's on the higher cost value for sure. The install takes a lot of time. And then for another vinyl, we have the Cedar Impressions. These are, basically designer siding, different options, different colors, thicker, so heavier gauge, more wind protection, and better designs besides just your standard 4-4 flat. Different options for that. Another thing we do is windows. I didn't bring a sample, but we do window replacement as well, new construction, and just your standard window replacement. I wish I brought a sample of that. And then cool technology we have here, this drone. It's pretty fun. Get to do roof inspections on roofs that I don't want to climb up on top of, that are too scary. And good for photos for before and after and video and stuff like that. It's become actually very handy. You're starting to see a lot more roofers use them, to be honest, actually. And they're easy to use. And then we also have our FLIR. This is for thermal imaging. I mainly use this for my insurance claims. It just measures for heat loss. So, if I point it at a wall and you'll see there's supposed to be insulation in the area. If it got wet, it would be blue because there's no heat there because the insulation's not holding the heat anymore in the house in that area. So you also have to know how to read it because you could be skewed a little bit because if you look around a window, there's a header and it'll read the header. So you have to know how to read it, obviously. So you have to know where to look for insulation and that thing. So, and then there's also we also have 3D Hover app. It's an app where you can walk around the house. You take 8 different pictures, one of each face and one of each corner of the house. And then within like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, there's a 3D image of the house, and it's connected to the GAF material line and mastic siding, and we could change and show a picture of the house, and you can pick what color siding you want and what color roof you want before you ever do. Because most people don't realize that your roof is actually accounts for 40% of your curb appeal if you're going to sell your house. Most people don't really realize that. So one of the first things you see especially if it's new. So it actually does help, with the sale of your house. And then now a little Q&A. Any little questions if I have time? I have time. Yeah, Tim.
So you said you don't want to go on the scary roof.
Yeah.
And then somebody's going on the scary roof.
Yeah, that's where you harness in. Yeah, you harness in. So, for me to go up there for an inspection, you got to see some of the roofs that I go. I go on most roofs. There's some roofs in Hartford or New Haven that are, 4 stories high and 12 pitch. And just for a little inspection, like if they're having a leak or I do a lot of bank foreclosure inspections as well. So I use that for this because I don't have to actually inspect what's wrong with it, just show pictures of it. And if they call me and they say this roof is leaking, and I go there and it's as tall as a church steeple, I don't know, I want to pull out a 40-foot ladder and go up there. So this actually helps, and the picture quality, and just and the homeowners usually like it. They think it's cool.
Do you usually do if there's a shingles on there now, is it typically always stripped?
Yeah, I always try to strip it just because for what you're paying to get it done, you might as well just do it the right way because you don't know what the last guy did. You can only see so much of what's on there. You could pull at the bottom to see if there's ice and water, but you don't know if they did the proper code because the codes change all the time. Now it's 3 feet from the heated wall, from the inside of the wall, but you also have the pitch of the roof, which a lot of contractors account for. So I always just do 6 feet up. So because most people are just like, oh, it's 3 feet, you just do a 3-foot roll of ice and water, when that's not really meeting code because the pitch changes. So if you have or a soffit, most people, so you always just do 6 feet. You could cut it down if you wanted, but for time and cost, you just do 6 feet, and it's better to be safe than sorry on it. But I always say to not do a layover. Maybe on a garage and stuff like that, but I always try my best to work within the homeowner's budget to get there, because at the end of the day, I'm still responsible, even though you shouldn't have leaking, but why spend all that money on a 35, 50-year roof and just do a layover, So, yes.
How much more expensive is the cement based over the...
Oh, the James, well, yeah, so these, I would probably start at like 800 a square. So it's 10 by 10 area, standard, and that's both because of labor cost and material cost. That's not like me hitting the lottery and running away.
Is that pretty true?
This, no, you would use it with a gun. So you would just use a gun to shoot it in. It's a lot of work. Like a standard house to vinyl 4-4. If it's like the best conditions in a normal size ranch, 3 days maybe. James Hardy, you'd be lucky if you can do it in a week. And you need more guys that know what they're doing, because it's a lot of measuring. You can't. There's no cheating in it. If you make a mistake, you'll see it. So it's a lot. It's tough to do. They have classes that taught some of the guys how to install it, because it's really tough. So you have to know what you're doing to install it. Same thing, like it's basically as hard as if you're trying to do like crown finish work. There's no mistakes allowed. Every cut matters, and there's no hiding if you cut it too short. So it's basically garbage at that point, or try to save it for a smaller area. You're definitely paying for what you're getting for. The same thing, you're not going to put that on your average tiny little ranch somewhere.
What are they getting for years? What's the?
I'm not sure with the warranty. I want to say it's 30 years. For 30 years on that. I'm sure that there's an extended warranty if you were a certified installer. I'm not certified. I'm working on it, but the issue is you have to do a certain volume to be certified. For them you have to do 15 I think a year, and that's it's just hard to find that many people that want to pay that. So most people go with the standard 4-4. There's different gauges of this. You can have thicker ones, but this is pretty much where most people end up buying, just because of cost. Any other?
What about like a typical standard roof? How long is the age for one? Like how long should it last?
Well, yeah, they're technically warranted for 35 years. You're allowed to offer, if you're certified, you can offer extended warranty for 50 years. But, based in New England, I would say 30 years is a very safe number for the age of a roof to last if it's installed right with the proper, materials and not making any mistakes. Also depends on where you live, with the algae and stuff like that. But for the most part, I would say for a new roof that's stripped and then installed properly with the GF, even just the standard Timberline HD, that I would say I would stand by 35 years all day without question. Right. I think, well, one more.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. My understanding with the algae on the roof is caused from limestone in the shingles.
Yeah.
That the asbestos or the algae feeds off it. Are they doing anything to stop
Yeah, I think that's what with the new one. They don't have a sample board for the new HD one, the Ultra HD one yet, but they added something else in some sort of chemical or something. I'm not really sure. Yeah, something. Yeah, probably zinc. I'd imagine that's what you usually use to protect it. So that's what they added for I guess probably this area, because everyone always talks about that issue. That's the most common thing. Is like, how do I stop it? And most people try to clean it. I always tell homeowners to stay away from cleaning your roof, especially, if it's just a spray and you're not touching it, that's fine. But avoid scrubbing, or those guys that say, well, we'll come here and make your roof look new. Yeah, it will look new, but they probably destroyed it at the same time and took 5 years' life off of it. So I'd just say, maybe knock the moss or algae off. It depends how bad it is. I usually just say leave it, to be honest, because you're just going to cause more damage than actually do any good to it. So that's it. Thank you. Thanks.
You're looking for a new employee to send up on this.
Yeah, to set up on the scary ones, I don't want to go on anymore.